It's not that I got to catch up on everything. I'm still trying to catch up.
Dude, so, okay, first of all, I'd like to welcome Charles Babb to our channel today. Charles is from LA, works in the game industry, was recently over in New Zealand here for TEDx, and from all reports I hear that you were quite a hit. Do you want to run me through, Charles, what's going on, and we'll port you over to TEDx, what you're talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that, are quite interested in this stuff.
At TEDx, I was the speaker that talked about diversity. You always have to have at least one, right? It won't be TED without somebody talking about diversity. And so I talked about diversity in technology, and not just building diverse teams for diversity's sake, but actually pulling from people's cultures and personal experiences and putting that into the product itself. The current trend is we hire women, minorities, people of different sexual preferences, and we put them in the room. And so whenever somebody questions our diversity, we point to everyone, but we don't bring them into the creative decision making.
Okay, I'm hearing you. So what that basically is you're diversifying the types of people that you employ and bring into the organisation, and so you're building more of a holistic approach as to hiring and the types of people in your organisation.
Yeah, you're not just hiring though; you're also using them. So they usually you find people that have the skills and talents. That's great, but you want people with different ideas and different perspectives also in the actual creative development of a product.
Okay, fantastic.
So you need them.
Do you actively go out and hire those that are highly talented, and try and sort of pick off those people to fill those roles, or like how do you go about that?
You just go seek highly talented people. You just have to have a good eye for people. You just want the best person overall. That trumps everything. For the person that has the most skills and most talents. But you also want to lean in on what people's cultural backgrounds are and their experiences. For example, if you have somebody that loves cold weather, you live in a warm weather place, everybody in the office is used to a warm weather climate, you may want somebody that comes from cold weather there because that perspective is naturally different, right?
Yeah.
Based on ethnicity and culture and subcultures, it makes it a little easier. So you'll have two people that are very similar on paper in the same room, but their subcultures are different. So their perspective on things are slightly different, and you try to find the things that are different about them and try to inject that in the project.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, actually. I suppose that everyone's paradigm is slightly different depending on the environment that they've been in most of their life. I've only had these discussions the last few days with multiple people, and it's sort of like, so you're sort of hiring based on their paradigm and sort of mixing that through the culture of the organisation. What I wanted to talk about today was sort of the fact that, I'm a budding entrepreneur. I'm in tech. We build for pretty cool stuff at Point Zero, and we do a lot of activations with Seed Digital. And what really, really impressed me about you is the fact that you've gone out there on your own and you've started your own business in LA. You work with some very famous people. You do some really cool stuff in gaming. And as a byproduct of that, you're over here in New Zealand at TEDx talking on the big stage. And people are going to see that. They're going to see your name, Charles Babb on TED. I'd say probably in the next 3 or 4 months. Do you want to talk to me about sort of as an entrepreneur, as a tech entrepreneur, do you want to tell me a bit about your story, how you started your business, a bit of your experience? Because, here in New Zealand, there's so many people that want to be like you and want to do cool stuff like this. And,
they should all be better than
you're
me.
a dude, and, you've done it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can learn from you. Do you mind sort of just talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, I could talk about that. I've always been an entrepreneurial type. I've never really fit in any cultures overall. I've always done my own thing. I guess one of the biggest things I tell everybody to do is just find a problem, find a solution, and see if you can monetize that solution.
That sounds fantastic.
That is the best thing. I think that's what entrepreneurs do, is they don't just create products just to make money. They find something they're interested in, that has a problem in it, and they think of a solution. They pick the solution that works best for their personality and who they are, and they see if they can monetize it.
I think that's brilliant. That sort of falls into the whole fail fast. I'm just going to make an MVP, try and solve this problem, get it to market. I can do it with $20. I can do it with $200. I don't need 200 grand. I'm just going to make something that helps people, and if that gets traction, I've got a product that's validated, and I can start to really spin it up from there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Most entrepreneurial ideas come from hobbies, and it doesn't come from the hobbies; it comes from the problems of that hobby.
Yeah, totally hearing you. You just keep hearing the same story over and over and over, and it sort of leads from that whole, I just love what I do. I've stumbled across this problem purely because I can identify opportunities, because I know the industry so well, because I'm obsessive with it and love it. Is that sort of what you can identify with?
I sort of identified that story. I'm the person that loves a lot of things, and I'll just surf through them. I started out in entertainment. Let's talk about my entertainment work.
Yeah, let's go.
In college, I was a lackey for a record label, basically that's intern, and I worked in music. I love rap music. Worked for a rap record label. I interned for LaFace Records. I interned for Noontime at the time. Then years later, after avoiding law school, I got into pre-production with a Hawaii company, Lost and ER and other things they brought to the island. Then I moved to Los Angeles and I worked for Tokyo Pop. And at Tokyo Pop, I was a marketing coordinator that ended up being the producer of their television show. I ended up writing another show idea for them before I left. And I helped spin up the television, film, and digital media department at Tokyo Pop. They knew I was like the game guy, and I did the sponsorships with gaming companies and stuff like that. And that's just who I was. I love that stuff. And then I went to grad school for video game production and design. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what I've always wanted to do. Yep. But I didn't mind making film or want to make TV or being in music. I just find things that I like, and I'm like, hey, how's this getting made, and can I get involved and get paid to do it?
Okay, fantastic. All right, and so does that... Have a look who I've got in the background.
Behind you.
You've got DK in the background.
Hey,
so DK runs TEDx here in Wellington. And so he's just decided to completely video bomb this video.
He did. Thanks, he so did it.
Yeah, it's going to have to end up on the TEDx site now, this video, because of him. He's going to pay us back in blood. So you've basically just you've just had this passion, and you've ended up in the industry because you love it, and you just decided, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go to university. I'm going to study it. And how did you end up working for these companies? Did you get headhunted, or did you go out of your way to sort of work with them, or how did that happen?
Fortunately, grad school was a kickoff, and they invited schools into the company they invited companies into the school to interview us. We had EA and we had Midway, and we had this girl game company called Guerrilla Games. They're down in Tampa, and I interviewed with them. They hired me, and one of the producers, the senior producer of the whole entire studio, his name was Rod Harper. Rod, he reminds you of Chopper. On TV.
Chopper Radio in Australia.
Oh, he looks like Chopper. He does. And his thing is HTFU too. He always says HTFU. He has it up on every board. So I learned a lot through Rod. He was a producer at Vicarious Visions, which is a major studio. And Rod is really cool. I learned a lot from Rod. Half the studio had to get let go because a couple projects got canceled. I got let go. Usually expensive people get let go first unless they're high contributing. And it was relatively new for all of us. It was a really brand new studio overall, these projects. I shipped two projects. We closed out the Hannah Montana engine for Disney, and we've worked on the Click. Click is a girls book series, and we made a DS game for it. It did pretty well. It got rated pretty well. It did pretty well. The next thing is I got hired by Guitar Hero. One of my grad school mates was he worked that Guitar Hero. He was a producer, and he says, hey, we got a production role open, come to Guitar Hero. So I interviewed with Guitar Hero. I interviewed with Konami in Japan for Metal Gear, and I interviewed with God of War, the God of War team, the actual Sony Santa Monica. I did good on all 3 interviews. Sony Santa Monica said I was too green for the particular situation they were in. They were in heavy crunch. And the lead producer, I interviewed her, she was like, I don't want to put you in this in your early stage of your career. You know?
It's just the pressure cooker. You're just going to get chewed up.
Yeah, it's a tough position. The team is tired and sort of burnt out. So yeah, it's one of those positions. So I didn't do that. However, what I did do was I was able to get hired by Neversoft. And they hired me. I went to Game Developer Conference, and I was flying back to Kentucky to visit my parents. And they were like, hey, we understand it's Friday. Can you come and start on Monday? And I was like, well, I'm in Kentucky and all my stuff is there. They're like, well, put it in the mail and fly out here by Wednesday or Friday. And I was like, cool. So I booked my airline ticket. They shipped my car, packed up all my boxes of my apartment, and shipped it all out to California that week. And then ended up moving right back out to Cali. I lived out here before, so I just ended up moving right back. And everybody knows I wanted to get back to LA. Like, I'm getting back to LA regardless.
And that's basically because that's where the action is. That's where
that is where the action is. I mean,
celebrities and it's just, what is it? Is it just the type of lifestyle and more opportunity that you love about it, or is it?
It's the opportunities for work and entertainment in any field of entertainment. It doesn't matter what it is. LA is the entertainment capital of the world, but also the culture of the city is wild and crazy and wide as the city is. There's always something for you to do. If you any type of food taste you have musical taste that you have, even film or almost any type of entertainment, you can find it here in LA. You know, we don't have a scene as big as Broadway and theater, but there are a lot of people in LA.
So those Kiwis out there that are developers or graphic designers or those that work at Weta, they could also just pack up ship, move to LA, and would you expect them to get work?
Yes, I would expect them to get work. Visual effects is tough in the United States because usually everybody outsources out to Weta or some company in Vancouver, and so you have a lot of Americans moving to other countries just to get work. Because LA is expensive and it comes at a premium, you know.
This is where we could, you could.
Los Angeles has the 3rd or 4th highest. What's that?
This is where you could, like, as in, because you've got your own business, Fairchild Consortium, like, as really successful agencies, like, this is where you can start to farm work to, guys like us that, need
Absolutely. I mean, when I was there and I started doing my research on Wellington before I left, I said, let me check it out. Yeah. And the cost of living's fair. The dollar, the New Zealand dollar versus the U.S. dollar is really nice.
God, it's ridiculous.
Especially for work.
One
just trying to figure things out. Yeah. And you all have health care.
Yeah, we got health care. Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing you don't have to cover here, but usually you have to cover it in America. So, it would make everything easier to start up a studio there, spin a studio off there. And plus you have Weta there and you have Magic Leap.
Correct.
And then you have 8-1.
8i.
8i.
Yeah, so we've got 3 big players. Yeah, we've got Weta, we've got 8i, we've got Magic Leap, and Sir Richard is personally involved in Magic Leap. And you were actually at a Weta while you were here. How was that experience?
It was good. I went to the workshop. Yep. I didn't go to Weta Digital, but I didn't really need to see Weta Digital unless I was going to look for Scarlett Johansson. But but it was nice to go into the workshop to see people actually doing craft, hard skills, not just hard computer skilled labor like modeling on ZBrush, but you have people modeling with clay.
Absolutely.
You see the paper castles and the styrofoam weapons that feel like heavy wood. It's really cool.
It was actually, and that's what I suppose Peter Jackson was quite amazing at too, was the fact that it wasn't all CGI. It was a mixture of that modelling and the traditional sense with CGI. Yeah, no, the guy's an absolute master. So when it comes to your business, Fairchild Consortium, like, what's the go with that? Like, you started that. When did you start your business?
It's been about 3 years, 2 to 3 years now. It'll be 3 years at the end of this year. It was just a company that me and some grad school friends and some other friends I've worked with. People have always pushed me, try to push me to open up a studio, and say, "I can't wait for you to open up a company. I can't wait for you to open up a company." And so I finally opened one, and I try to cover everything. I'll go in as a consultant to people with ideas, and we help them build their products. And I hired a team and whatnot. But a lot of people have. I had this game idea, and I'm the
Yep.
foolish person. I'm the guy foolish enough to say, "Hey, okay, let's talk about this. Let's go through ideation. Let's see
Yep.
if there's a business in it. Let's see if your game idea is really a game idea." And then I can direct them better that way. Like, oh, that makes a better TV show. Oh, that would make a better radio
Okay. Yep. So you work with your clients personally when it comes
podcast,
to the
or oh,
ideation.
that'd be a good web series. A lot of people don't have the experience. There's a thing we call it the Holy Trinity, where every comic book maker wants to make films, every filmmaker wants to make video games, and every video game maker wants to make comic books.
Okay, I'm hearing you. Is that because they get bored, or what do you think it is? Just that the creative juices, they just want to spin off into something else because they can, or
Creative juices because they can.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot has to do. I don't think they're ever bored of what they're doing. They're willing to expand and experiment with different things.
yeah,
And it always pays. It all goes to the same source, which is skill set.
yeah, right, okay. And so, and they've semi-conquered that niche as well.
Yes,
It's probably an
absolutely.
entrepreneur mindset in terms of it's like, okay, I've nailed this, it's going really good, I feel like I'm on top of my game, what can I do next? And sort of like that hungry dog that's always looking for the next piece of meat.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think everybody in entertainment and gaming and film and television, they can work contract to contract. Sure, you're part of a production company, but that company only exists as long as it has work. The moment it runs out of work or doesn't get another contract, it's gone for a while.
yes,
Film and television is a little bit better organized than games. Games, we struggle to get a game out, and before we can regroup to work on the sequel or get planned for the next contract, usually we don't have it in place, and we don't have the financial bandwidth to keep everybody.
yep.
So we let people go all the time.
I think
Uh,
Weta do the same, as in Weta's a very stable, prestigious
mhm.
organisation, but if the work sort of dries up for a couple of months, everyone just has a break because they're getting
Yeah,
slammed as well while they are on the tools. It sounds
yeah.
like the exact same thing, and so that just happens across the whole industry, does it?
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
That's very common. And in games, usually when they let you go, you feel like you need to go work again. Now, there's some games that crunch really hard. They crunch for years. They crunch you know what crunching is, right? That's where you take your average 9 hour day and you turn it
yep,
and you stretch it into 12 or 16, and you do it
absolutely. Same thing
anywhere from
happens
6 to 7 days a
here.
week.
Yeah,
And
you work
if
all
you're
night.
crunching like that for years, for example, and it's completely illegal in America, and I don't advise companies to crunch. I figure I'd rather for them to advise to control their scope and dial back the game and focus on figuring out what's wrong with the projects. But if they crunch, which is almost impossible to avoid, you plan it better. But when you have people crunching for like a year, 14-hour days, 5 days a week, then on the weekend they give 8 hours on Saturday and 5 hours on Sunday. I mean, it all adds up.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. This is where you end up with burnout, relationship
Yeah,
breakdowns, all sorts of
you
stuff
did.
like that, and the culture of the organisation can, go up in flames a little bit. So, so how's it been owning your own business? Like, do you want to talk just a little bit through the process as to, okay, did you go out on your own? Did you bring contractors on board? Did you need a hell of a lot of money to do it? I think there's a
Uh,
lot of people that are scared to own their own businesses, and you're a great
yeah.
case of doing something awesome.
Well, I don't think you need a lot of money. You need some money because you have to sustain yourself. And sometimes you want high talented, highly skilled people, and they're never free. And you should never ask somebody to do something for free. Some people are willing to give sweat equity. You have to have really good lip service. I advise everybody you have to have really, really good lip service. If you're trying to sell it for free, you give them part ownership and you provide really good lip service.
Yeah.
I was able to do that with a couple of my employees, but a lot of my friends were waiting for me. They were like, "Yo, we're waiting for you to start. We're waiting for you to spin something up, and we'll help out until it's up on its own, and we can all leave our day jobs."
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
really big on freedom. I think people should work freely. I don't have the overhead cost of studio or whatnot. I may have a computer cost here or there for somebody, but there's no overhead calls. Everybody works from home. We're in a technology era. There's no reason to meet unless we really physically need to meet.
Well, it's a classic example of us talking now, as in here you are in LA, I'm in New Zealand, we're on Skype. Why can't we have our meetings virtually, collaborate to get these projects done? And so that's the model that you're employing at the moment, is you've got virtual workers that are highly, highly skilled. Yeah, so you probably spend a hell of a lot of time looking for them.
Yes. Finding them is hard. Sometimes you get, because they're always working. They always have a day job. And sometimes people have day jobs. They work with you on a night job. They're like, hey, I want to be a part of it. My other friend's involved. I want to be involved. And that happens often too. I was fortunate enough to have guys that do a little bit of both. They do the day job and they do the night job thing, and it works. It just works. I have guys that lose their day job and they just need work to do. And so I'll go out and find third-party contracts and have them work on it. And I get an overflow money. I pay myself and I pay my guys doing night jobs. So it's like I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul at that point.
Yeah, but that makes sense. So what you're saying is, like, if you were, say, an entrepreneur, or you were somebody that wanted to start their own business, like, basically it sort of starts with getting your first contract. And you probably and there's probably your ability to sell it in and to win the contract. And then, okay, I need to spin up some people to help me do it. I'll just find them, and they'll be highly qualified, pay them fairly, and leave a margin for me.
Well, you kind of have to know who they are and have them already give you the verbal okay, they're willing to work.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Sometimes they're willing to work for free. They're like, yo, just give me part of the company and the part of the project, and let's just bake it. I mean, independent development is, you just have to swallow your pride and say, this is a game I want to make. I'm not making this my day job, or this is the game I want to make. I'm barely scraping my own credit cards, but I need to get it done.
Yeah.
I need to make this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. And so you can give equity away in the project as well as not necessarily the company.
I prefer giving equity to people, or royalty or something, because that alone provides ownership. And you want people to have ownership of projects.
Yeah, because there's skin in the game.
I'll tell you what, it's cheaper to give people money than it is to give them ownership.
Right, so it's cheaper to give them money rather than ownership. Yeah, okay.
Ownership. Yeah. And our value system's messed up because business owners teach that. It's like backwards. People work for money and they should be working for ownership. Could you imagine if all the Apple employees, you look at overnight millionaires, they don't come overnight because of their salaries. They're employee number 10 and they have part ownership of Facebook.
That's exactly right.
Employee number 15, they own part of Google.
It reminds me of Noah Kagan? Oh, anyway, so I think he was number 10 at Facebook, and there's a few guys around here that were part of Xero. Xero's a really big company here in Wellington. They're quite global now with accounting. They make beautiful accounting software. There's a few guys that came out of there that were number 4, number 5, number 10. Sold out their shares and created enough wealth to literally spin off their own companies because of that. And Trade Me was an example of that as well.
I lose you?
No, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear you now.
Yeah. So I suppose you're getting skin in the game as well, and they're going to give it everything they've got. They're going to help you build a company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important, is that they have skin in the game, and they recognize their name's tied to the product, and at the end of the day, the product does well, we all eat. We're all prospering.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to feel. Okay, this product is doing good. Great.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get paid. And you hope you make money off of it. That's up to the production and design team to figure out how to monopolize and capitalize on the product.
Yeah. And
I think I talked about it in the Wellington game meetup.
Yep.
Game makers meetup. Think like a producer. Think about how don't just do it for this because you love doing it. Think about how can you capitalize on it. It's the difference between a Sunday driver and a Formula One driver. Right? Sunday driver, you can take a really expensive sports car and just ride up down the road with it. But when you want to be a professional, you figure out how to capitalize, how to make it work for you.
Yeah, right. Okay. So it's sort of like, I see this opportunity, I'm going to get all the skilled labour together to actually do it. There's a piece in it for me, but I drive the ship. That's what I do. I drive the ship. And that's why I get rewarded for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think you've just summed it up, really. That's what an entrepreneur does. Like, there has to be an element of being an opportunist.
Yes.
As in, because we'll have to feed ourselves. That's just the way society works. But it's not the money necessarily that drives us. That's the byproduct. But we still have to be opportunistic, because you see the opportunity and then do it. That is opportunistic.
Yes, it is. It is. And everybody should be opportunistic. I mean, you're your own best corporation.
Build a brand around yourself.
Yeah, you have to build yourself as a brand. You're a brand.
Yeah.
I was able to build my brand up because I read a lot on the internet. I try to read to the end of the internet.
Yeah.
And be very informed. I mean, like, I don't have a lot of hard skill. Like, I don't do 3D art. I don't do concept art. I have soft skills. I can bring that team together. I can do the spreadsheet. I can do the pipelines. I can watch people how they work and try to improve their efficiencies. And that's where it's at. You know, everybody wants to improve. I do design, but I haven't done design in so long. I wouldn't call myself.
Yeah, so there you go.
I have done more project management than anything else. But I guess that's a hard skill. You know, managing the projects, owning the project, spinning down the project, figuring who's needed and what's needed on the project.
Yeah, but then managing the dollars as well, and the day-to-day business, and the accounting, and the company. And it's just like, I think you're right. I'm an internet marketer, and I'm finding the older I get, the more you sort of live and breathe the entrepreneurial lifestyle, the more you're not even on the tools with your skill set. You're juggling the balls to make it all happen. You don't even do it.
That's absolutely right. You know, some things you just come off the top of your head, you just know it. And you're like, how do you know that? Because I've seen it so many times that I just know it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beauty of it all. And so when I think about like production pipelines for a video game, I know what a production pipeline for a video game looks like, from the ideation all the way to the actual shipping. I know what it looks like on film. I know what it looks like on television. The only thing I haven't done it in is actually animation, and I figure that's no different than film or television outside of art process, which I can probably pull in from video games. So you can see it from beginning to end.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I tell you what, this has been extremely valuable.
Okay.
This has been awesome.
I'm glad.
Yeah, this has been amazing. So what I'll do is I'll get this out through my social channels, and going to continue to spin up videos. Would you be interested in catching up in 12 months time or 6 months time? Clocking in, seeing what's going on.
Hopefully I'll be back in Wellington before then.
Yeah, you're quite welcome to stay at my place, and I know there's a lot of Kiwis that there was a lot that met you while you were over here.
Yes.
You're just a lovely guy. You're always welcome here. So look me up, and you can always stay at my joint. It'd be really good. Yeah. So I suppose to wrap this.
Definitely do that.
Yeah, to wrap this up. So do you reckon it's not that hard to do something yourself? Do you think it's perseverance or courage, or what? If you were to sum this up, what do you think's the number one thing that someone needs to do what you are doing? And it doesn't have to be the game industry, as in
just in general.
Belief.
Be bold. Just be bold.
Be bold.
Be brave. Yeah, be brave, be bold, have the courage. Be stupid enough to be bold.
Naive enough.
Yes, naive enough to be bold. I mean, you have to be. I mean, when we look at our greatest inventors, from Nikola Tesla to Elon Musk, they're just bold individuals. They make a statement and say, this is what it is. And they fight for it until it's proven to them it's wrong. And it's not really wrong. By the time they figure out it's wrong, it's already changing to something else that is right.
Oh, let's have a look. I'm a massive Nikola Tesla fanboy. I've been reading. I've been going through his patents for years. Everything from the X-ray to the death ray to AC motors, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he had about 800 patents in the end. But if one man can do that, any of us can go out and do it once. Surely.
Right.
That's a great example. Are you a big fan of Nikola Tesla?
I am a big fan of Nikola Tesla. I think he's got railroaded. He wasn't good on business. Yeah, he wasn't good in business, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Don't get me started. This is another Skype session.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about Edison. Edison was the businessman.
Well, Edison, Tesla, both came out of America, please. That's number one and number two in itself. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that crazy?
It is. So, okay, we're going to wrap it up. Charles, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been incredible. Thanks for coming over to New Zealand. Look me up, and I'll share this video too. And if anybody needs,
when I come up there.
Yep, I'll send the video through. And if anyone wants to reach out, what's your Twitter handle?
Charles Babb. So it's CHARLES.
Yep.
B as in boy, apple.
Yep.
B as in boy, and B as in boy.
Yep. Can people just reach out to you? Are you contactable? Is it the type of thing you're able to do?
I'm easy to contact.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. And the name of your company is Fairchild Consortium. If
Fairchild Consortium,
anyone can reach out to do business with you.
Oh yes, they can reach out to the business with us. We do a lot of our own private projects. We're really like a covert operation.
Yep.
It's so funny how we've been on a number of projects I can't even talk about.
Yep.
But it's interesting. It's interesting guys and gals I work with, and I'm always looking for developers, so they can reach out for me for that.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, anyone in New Zealand that's a developer, look up Charles. You're keen for some talent. What sort of skill sets? What C#, PHP? What sort of programming languages are you looking for?
I'm looking for C#. Java.
Yep.
I'm looking for graphic designers. I'm looking for animators. I'm looking for everything. Okay. I would probably set up a studio there and just fly back and forth.
Okay. Well, why don't you hit me up and I'll help you run
it. Yeah. That sounds great.
All right. Look me up. Okay.
Why not have satellite studios everywhere? Ubisoft has them.
Okay, we'll have a private conversation around this. I'll call you back.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Charles, I'm going to hit the road. Thanks again.
All right.
We'll talk soon, and I'll look you up and I'll send you emails and we'll keep in contact.
All right.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
See you,
Take care, Neville.
Good on you.
See
ya.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Peace.